When you think about it, one person that gambles or has a gambling problem affects another 10 people in the community.
G'day, and welcome to Wellbeing. I'm Jack Hodgins. Today we are discussing problem gambling recovery. We are joined by Libby Ferfoglia from GambleAware. Libby has worked in the problem gambling field for many years and is here today to share her expertise into it. Hello Libby, and welcome to Wellbeing.
Hi, Jack.
Is gambling an addiction? Why or why not?
Well, I believe gambling is an addiction. The reason being is that when someone gambles, the receptors in their brain light up the same as someone that has a cocaine addiction.
Some people that I've spoken to have said that it's not an addiction. Are they, or just different addictions? Why would they why would they say that?
Look, I think there's a common feeling that society believes that gambling is just a behaviour. It's actually known as a impulse disorder. So it's a control impulse disorder where someone loses control over their behaviour. So that being addiction, I think.
Could you tell us a little bit about GambleAware and what you do there?
Yeah. So GambleAware is the new model of the old gambling help program. I'm a gambling counsellor there, and we offer all sorts of different types of interaction with clients, different therapeutic approaches.
How is it different to the more traditional ways of recovery?
Okay, in the past, we just had, one door entry, whereas this model is a stepped model, and people can come in and find out about education, raising awareness around gambling, all the way through to having that therapeutic intervention.
What is the optimal time for someone to get help with their gambling?
I think when someone starts to realise that they're spending more time than they'd like thinking about gambling, more money gambling, thinking of how they can get money to gamble. So sort of becoming a little obsessed with gambling.
And when does gambling become a problem? Because some people may be able to do a bet and then move on, but what's different between the gambling habits of someone who does have a problem to someone who doesn't?
Yes, well, some people are, they can gamble, like you said, and they can walk away, whereas others are absorbed by that process. So it really is triggering for them, and it's taking them to a place where they're not really thinking about the consequences of their gambling.
Is it hard for someone to ask for help with their gambling problem?
Absolutely, because there's so much stigma in help seeking. People believe that, this is a fun thing to do, it's a hobby, it's, something we do with our mates, part of Australian culture. So therefore, to turn around and say, hey, I've got a problem with this is a little difficult.
Is the way that we in Australia view gambling, is that a healthy view? Is that a healthy view?
Well, it can be for some, but then unhealthy for others. So, some people do become addicted to gambling, and therefore the way we view it is, come on, it's Melbourne Cup Day, everyone in Australia must have a bet. We believe that it's just part of our social interaction in life. So, when you're struggling with that, it can be hard.
Is there a lot of stigma in society towards those that have problem gambling?
Yes, I believe so. There's a lot of stigma. People believe it's a behaviour, so you should just stop it. It's not actually a real addiction.
When someone comes to see you, because you're a counsellor, what do you kind of talk to them about?
Well, we talk about all sorts of things. We tailor our services to suit the client's needs. We talk about the process. We offer self-exclusions all the way through to, interventions, therapeutic approaches, and how they can make better choices.
Are there different degrees of gambling addiction that you see?
Yes, well, we actually classify them as, severe, medium to low risk. And then someone with problem gambling is someone that is compelled to gamble. So they're always thinking about gambling. They miss out on family activities. They're always looking for money. They sort of isolate away from family and loved ones.
And how did you come to be involved with all this?
Well, I've been doing this for quite some time. I could see that there was, emerging issues, and I really like working in this space in the therapeutic intervention.
What is the environment that you try to create for those that come in to see you?
We offer a safe place to, talk freely. It's private and confidential. There are some limitations around that, but we always explain to clients, non-judgmental. We're not anti-gambling. We're just concerned about people struggling with gambling harm.
You're listening to Wellbeing, a nationally distributed radio show and podcast. My guest today is Libby Ferfoglia, where we're talking about problem gambling recovery. What is the attitude that the people coming in need to have while they're trying to battle that addiction?
Yes, just to be open and honest. That's part of their recovery, by actually admitting that, I think I have got a problem, that they're partway there, and that enforces the change, and then it leverages off that they actually can make the improvements.
Are there any challenges that people go through while they're trying to, again, battle that addiction, like with recovery?
Many challenges. I think it's important to remember, don't give up. Keep on trying. We look at cycles of gambling and people are more motivated, and then sometimes they lapse. You may have heard that term, and it just means try and get back on the wagon and, continue. Don't quit quitting, so to speak.
Are there ways that the family and friends of the person that has the problem gambling can help?
Yes, absolutely. A supportive family and a friend network or a social network is very important to the problem gambler. And that's where we come in, because family and friends can come. Sometimes they're the first people that notice that there is a problem. They can come in and see us directly, and we can provide them with some tools, information around, what they can do, how do they keep their money safe. How do they respond? Some people have found out that someone's lied to them about money spent, hidden the gambling. So it's quite an issue for some.
Is it something that's ever really cured, or does it need to be strategies ongoing after recovery?
Yeah, I think ongoing strategies, it's like a maintenance. This is where people can always call back into us. And I like the new model that people can just come back. Perhaps they don't want counselling, but they can get some pointers on how to cope and manage their addiction better, or maybe they've fallen off. How do I get back on?
What are some of the strategies that some people have?
Well, some people get self-exclusions. That's quite a common one. We can ban people from different apps when they're online gambling, and we've seen a lot of that during COVID. They can also exclude from pubs and clubs, but still go there and have a meal and be with their family, but they're actually not allowed to go into the gambling area.
Is recovery something that's different for everyone?
Absolutely. It's a very personal journey, and that's where we tailor always. We're always evolving our service, so as we're walking alongside that person and offering the support.
Are there enough support services for the younger people that may be struggling with gambling?
Look, I guess we could always say we need more support services. There's so many issues coming along. But for young people, I think it's so important to recognise that there may be an issue. When you look at things like online gaming, gambling, the similarities, young people know a lot about gambling. Only recently there was a Netflix series called Squid Games that was promoting gambling, in fact, death and gambling. So quite alarming, but young people know all about it.
How long does the recovery process last?
That's a tricky question, a good question. I believe, it's changing your behaviour, making better choices. So really that's an ongoing change, an ongoing process.
Is the effectiveness of the recovery at all affected perhaps by how long the person has had the addiction or the extent that they've had the addiction?
Well, it could come into play. They do say that people that have come from a family of gamblers, so sometimes parents have horses and they've been in the racing industry for a long time, the youth or the young people from that family may be more inclined to gamble. So therefore, there's a generational process that we have to go through. But yeah, everyone's journey is unique and there is help available, and people do succeed and have really good lives.
What is the attitude that the family and friends need to have?
Yeah, there's no good. The person struggling with gambling harm already carries a lot of shame. So there's no point, badgering them and putting them down, even though the family probably feel quite disappointed. A supportive approach is really important. And then I think becoming aware that this really is an issue and contacting us, because we can help them with that, engagement and support of their loved one.
You're listening to Wellbeing, a nationally distributed radio show and podcast. My guest today is Libby Ferfoglia, where we're talking about problem gambling recovery. How should society think of addiction and approach it?
Well, I think they should perhaps be more open to this is an evolving situation. They should be more open to gambling is the same type of addiction and as harmful as alcohol and drugs in our community. When you think about it, one person that gambles or has a gambling problem affects another 10 people in the community.
What are some of the mental effects that gambling can have, like the impact that it can have on their health?
Yes. Look, some people attend and they're suicidal. They're so low. They're depressed. They're anxious. They can't sleep. They're exhausted from actually thinking and wanting to participate in gambling.
From your observations, how well does society in its current thinking on addiction, how well does it understand it?
I don't think it understands it very well. Once again, we look at gambling, it's a legal activity, it's heavily promoted on TV, it appears to be a really great fun thing to do, it's a social thing to do, so how can it be harmful? And for some, that it is a wonderful and great thing, but for others, it can cause a lot of harm.
Why should someone put in the hard work to get free of gambling?
Because you can actually change your life. You can be free of the feelings of shame, regret, guilt. Imagine carrying that around each day, that each day you get up and you know that you're going to lie to someone that you love, that you're going to let them down perhaps, or even let yourself down.
Where do you see gambling recovery programs going in the future?
Well, I see we'll be around for quite some time, particularly with the trends of people moving to online. So with this online space, we are seeing more people. Apparently there's been an increase with the COVID lockdown, a 300% increase in people participating in some sort of gambling activity online. So our business is actually growing.
Do you think the consumption of gambling has gotten worse since the internet has come along and all those online betting apps have come along?
Yes, there's a lot of more opportunity to gamble. I'm seeing a lot of people now that they're because gambling's a little secretive as well, and people, they assume, we're just sitting watching TV and they're just picking up the phone, but actually while they're being with their family, they're gambling secretly on the phone, whereas we might think, they're only talking to someone or messaging someone.
What are some of the ways that problem gambling can affect the relationship someone has with family and friends?
Well, when you start lying and cheating, spending more money, some people borrow money against the home, they have debt collectors, it can cause a lot of trouble. Even when you look at the payday loans, people are borrowing extra money, having debt collectors chase them, it's causing quite a lot of stress.
How can someone avoid going down the spiral of addiction?
I think reaching out to us for starters, because you can come in at any entry point. You can just find out some information. You can just get a self-exclusion, moving on to getting support from financial counselling that can assist you with keeping money safe, and then on to gambling counselling.
What would be the take-home from this interview you'd want people to remember the most?
I think it's important to be aware of gambling and the harm that can be caused, be aware of loved ones, be a supportive community member, and just have the conversation with someone, raise the question.
Well, thank you for sharing your insight with us today, Libby. We appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thank you, Jack.
My guest today was Libby Ferfoglia. Tune in next week where we discuss student wellbeing in universities with John Fischetti. And if you like this content, check out the Wellbeing podcast for more. Thank you for listening. I'm Jack Hodgins, and all of us at Wellbeing wish you well.